Hi again, and welcome to my channel. First of all, I'd like to say that we're in an evolutionary path, and each and every one of us has a journey to accomplish, right? Has a mission. Now, sometimes you reach your plateau, you understand well enough what is it that you have to do on a, let's say, an earth level, or what your understanding of what your journey is planetary level. Okay, and I guess what I mean by that, you start to realize that you've reached a plateau. There's a certain section, there's a certain part of your life that's reached its climax. That doesn't mean that it starts to dwindle down. What it does mean is that you are at the highest level where you can be. Let's say you're receiving information, or you're doing what I do, you're sending information out after um, some time of holding a lot of information in, which for me felt correct, felt right. In my first videos, I decided to let this out because I had this heartfelt urge to release this information and put it out there. So I'd like to say that the ascension process for many of us has been completed. We're not really here to ascend anymore. We're only just here to help others that want to go through the ascension process themselves, or that need to be um, directed in the right path so that they can go on to ascend. And that's what's important here. So, after you evolve, you no longer need a physical body. So, for some of you, you might think, well, this body is great, I'd like it. Well, after a certain period of time, you can modify your body and have it look differently if you choose to. But for now, these are the bodies that we're choosing now to ascend, so we can reach that high level of awareness where we can do different things. For example, modify DNA, or unlock the keys to how to modify the DNA and make your body different. That junk DNA that I spoke about, you'll be able to switch on and off triggers in it so that your body can, pretty much stay healthy, stay young, stay free of disease and viruses and things like that. That's part of the reason why we are not ascending, we're helping others ascend, because we've already completed an ascension cycle. Think about it. If you've never ascended before and you're asked to help others ascend, then how would you know what to do if you haven't done it hundreds of times before? So for you, all of you that are just waking up to different things, that you're receiving downloads of new information as you go, you have to realize that these are not uncharted waters. These are just waters that you haven't actually gone through before, or haven't familiarized yourself with the baseline of where you are and where you're going. So your galactic history goes way back. Your history is profound, and it's found in ancient texts, and you realize that things that happened then are a an outcome of the things that we're living through now. So most of these higher beings that are here now are here for a very specific reason. And I'm going to give you one example. When I was on the ship, at one time, in one occasion, I was on the ship. It was Pleiadian ship, and there was a lot of talk and a lot of conversation with negative beings, and let's say negative humans, and they were just saying the word karma, 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 over and over again. And all this was in my psyche. So I remember one night I was taken aboard the ship. There was this huge screen in front of me, and next to me was a Pleiadian, okay? And I think she was on my right side. And when she was on the right side of me, she had me look at the screen. I was looking at the screen, and we were looking through things. And the only thing that she said, you have no karma. The only thing you're here for is for one reason only, And what I saw was the Egyptian pyramid. That was the reason why I was here. So back then there was a huge misunderstanding, and the laws of creation were muddled by negative entities that wanted to make certain people godly like, certain individuals that walk the earth and have disciples godly like, or wanted to make the teachings of the laws of creation to justify their way and their behaviors so they can control the masses. So this is the only reason why some of these memes are here, to right a wrong that happened. And that correction, it's bound to occur as the teachings are explained further, so that the masses that understood one way would begin to understand a different way of how things work. I want you to understand that planet Earth is basically, there's a cordon here. We're isolated from the other parts of the galaxies and other beings that know that we've been brainwashed for all this time, and we're finally waking up out of this amnesia. So we just can't go out there, and they just can't come in because the shock would be too much for many to understand. Even now, there are lots of you that are in shock thinking about the Egyptian gods and thinking about how does that all intertwine. Who's the god Satu? Why was this person around? What were the circumstances of him, involving himself now in these times? And that's just an example. I was just looking on my cell phone about these things because that's where my focus and interest was. Now, as a person that's been chosen to receive these messages as the messenger, then it's my understanding that these urges and these kinds of details of the things that are going on in my daily life totally reflect a message that needs to go out. So if any of you have heard Satu in his message, then you understand, partly of the reason of why we're here. So this is what these beings are trying to say. This is the message that they're trying to convey. We heard to right that wrong. This is their words. We heard to right the wrong that occurred back in Egypt, and how the laws of creation were muddled and they weren't put right. They weren't established in a way that correctly interprets the way that things as they were supposed to be learned and taught. So that's the right that needs to be, that's the wrong, that needs to be corrected. Now, let's see. So as you continue your ascension process, I think I mentioned this earlier, you will no longer need a physical body, yet you can choose to have a physical body. I personally believe that these bodies that we have now are the ones that are going to be turned into non-physical, spiritual, angelic bodies. That's just my understanding. And I want to just bring up a scenario. For example, imagine that I have to live, I have life, right? I'm an organic being, I have life. Now, your spirit, it's that fractal connection to source, right? Now, these bodies are just us, I'm Francis, you're you. As far as you know, let me put this on Do Not Disturb for a second, I don't want it to ring. So as far as you know, you're just you. But behind you, you have your history, you have your past lives, you have who you were, you have a connection with your soul family, you have a connection with your galactic family, and you are just a drop in an ocean of consciousness to your galactic group. Do you see what I'm saying? Your group, your set of 100,000 beings that form a consciousness collective at a higher density, 6 or 7 or 8th density, whatever that may be, okay? Those are your soul family. But when you drop down, you think you're just you. And then you start finding others that resonate with that same vibration. Maybe they're from the Pleiades or Andromeda. Or maybe you met your Antares soul family, and then you realize, whoa, I'm just not, you know, I'm just not a businessman or a salesman. I have a connection with a group that's mine, that's unique, that's yours. So when we talk about these gods, for example, they form part of a group. And their fractal connections to others, physical beings on Earth, some of them are unaware. Others do know that they carry this connection with them. So this is what I'm trying to get to is this. As your body, as your karmic field widens, as you meditate, as you do the things that you have to do to widen your body, more of that fractal connection will widen and widen and widen until you realize that you can embody another being that has a higher consciousness within you, but you still keep and remain your own physical presence because you lived through this lifetime, and this lifetime is the one that made you Francis, for example, or made, such and such him, or her such and such her. That doesn't go away. That's just adding to another lifetime of the millions of lifetimes that you've had before. And I just want to clarify that part because you're going to start to feel that you're connecting with a higher source other than yourself, and you could talk to your higher self. So that higher self connection that's going to be coming down is going to represent a very specific being or a very specific person, and I'm going to use the very popular names that we know of. Okay, let's say Jesus, Buddha, Gandhi, right? These are beings, fractals, that are within incarnate souls, and I'm not saying they are. This is just an example. But as you widen your field, and it gets wider and wider, you'll realize that you are more than just this person that you are now. Because remember, we're sleeping, we're in a fog. We're gonna wake up and realize who we are and who we were. So a lot of us are going to say, "Oh, wow, I was a president, or I was a pirate, or at some point I was a caveman, or something of such of the likes." And if you want to take it there, then you can go into a higher spiritual ascension process, and you can say, "Well, I was Osiris, or I was Satu, or I was any other of these crocodile, hippopotamus-headed beings that are depicted in Egypt." And I'm using Egypt as my example because that's where I feel that I have a connection. And this is where these beings are talking to me and delivering these messages so I can send them out to you. So those of you that heard Satu's message, you know who you are. And I salute you. And I wish you the best in your journey. And that's all I can say because other than that, I do not know who these people are. So I'm going to try and post another video, probably a part 2 to this. There might be a little more that I can say, or probably not. But I hope that I cleared enough of you to understand that as your body starts to widen and you begin to receive more light energy, more light energy, more light energy, you start to then naturally connect with your higher self. Okay? There's an image of a higher self connection that has a person standing. You see the person's aura on the sides. You get to see all these auras, different layers of colors, and then a huge white light just goes all the way up. And when you look, and the image shows you that up there's another person, a being of light, completely white. I don't want to say the Godhead, but I do want to say that it's something that is what creates that fractal energy of you beamed down. So this physical representation It's only just a vessel for the higher self that is you. If it's Ra, if it's Isis, if it's Buddha, Jesus, Gandhi, that is the journey of the vessel, of the body that we're in, incarnate. That's the journey of the body that's incarnate now, that will then assume a separate, different role, but you'll never lose the identity of yourself. But you will have that connection to what is a higher density that's going to live within you, because these physical bodies are the physical bodies that we're going to keep. I'm a firm believer that we're just going to be physical angels, physical bodies, okay? Not fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional, sixth dimensional, etc. physical bodies. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with this little bit. I feel like I had to let this out. I'd like to thank you again for watching my channel. I am using different software, so I realize now that I didn't wear my earphones. I hope I spoke loudly enough for you guys again, but please listen to what I've said, play it back again as loud as you can, and allow yourself just to resonate with the energy that I'm emitting out to you, because this is an important part. You've reached a plateau, or you're about to reach a plateau, where now you're going to be connecting with a different part of you that is unaware, okay? And believe me, it's going to be gradual. You're just not going to be totally put in shock and awe, because it's not the best way to introduce something new, okay? So I'd like to thank you again for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one.